This is day 2 of Advent of Cyber 2023, and this challenge is a log analysis challenge called O Data, All Ye Faithful. After yesterday's resounding success, Mikani Bell walks into Antarcticraft's office with a gleaming smile. She takes out her company-issued laptop from her knapsack and decides to check the news. Traffic on the North 15 highway? Glad I skied into work today, she boasts. A notification from the Best Festival Company's internal communications tool, HollyChat, pings. It's another task. It reads, the B team has been tasked with understanding the network of Antarcticraft's South Pole site. Taking a moment to think about the task ahead, Mikani Bell realizes that Antarcticraft's has no fancy technology that captures events on the network. No tech, no problem, exclaims Mikani Bell. She decides to open up her Python terminal. So the learning objectives for the day are to get an introduction to what data science involves and how it can be applied to cybersecurity, get a gentle introduction to Python, get to work with some popular Python libraries such as Panda and Matplotlib to crunch data, and to help Mikani Bell establish an understanding of Antarcticraft's network. So for accessing this machine, you need to use a VM, and there's apparently split screen available. So we will first start the machine by going here, start machine. So you've started the machine, and after waiting 3 minutes, Jupyter will open on the right side. If you cannot see the machine, press the show split view button at the top of the room, and we'll continue reading while the machine loads. So Data Science 101. The core element of data science is interpreting data to answer questions. Data science often involves programming, statistics, and recently, the use of artificial intelligence to examine large amounts of data to understand the trends and patterns and help businesses make predictions that lead to informed decisions. The roles and responsibilities of a data science includes data collection, which is the phase involving collecting the raw data. So this could be a list of recent transactions, as an example. Data processing, the phase involves turning the raw data that was previously collected into a standard format that analysts can work with. Data mining, which is clustering or classification. This phase involves creating relationships between the data, finding patterns and correlations that can start to provide some insight. Think of it like chipping away at a big stone, discovering more and more as you chip away. Analysis, so this is exploratory, confirmatory. This phase is where the bulk of the analysis takes place. Here the data is explored and provides answers to questions and some future projections. For example, an e-commerce store can use data science to understand the latest and most popular products to sell, as well as create a prediction for the busiest times of the year. Communication or visualization. This phase is extremely important. Even if you have the answers to the universe, no one will understand you if you can't present them clearly. Data can be visualized as charts, tables, maps, etc. So, data science and cybersecurity. The use of data science is quickly becoming more frequent in cybersecurity because of its ability to offer insights. Analyzing data, such as log events, leads to an intelligent understanding of ongoing events within an organization. Using data science for anomaly detection is an example. Other uses of data science in cybersecurity includes SIEMs, which is Security Information and Event Management. SIEMs collect and correlate large amounts of data to give a wider understanding of the organization's landscape. Threat trend analysis. Emerging threats can be tracked and understood. Predictive analysis. By analyzing historical events, you can create a potential picture of what the threat landscape may look like in the future. This can aid in the prevention of incidents. So before we carry on, scroll to the very top and then do show split view. This will show this challenge's machine that we'll be using. Okay, so introducing the Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebooks are open source documents containing code, text, and terminal functionality. They are popular in the data science and education communities because they can be easily shared and executed across the systems. Additionally, Jupyter Notebooks are a great way to demonstrate and explain proof of concepts in cybersecurity. Jupyter Notebooks could be considered as instruction manuals. As you will come to discover, a notebook consists of cells that can be executed one at a time, step by step. You'll see an example of a Jupyter Notebook in the screenshot below. Note how there are both formatted text and Python code being processed. So in this screenshot we have print hello world, and then right below it is the output. So before we begin working with Jupyter Notebooks for today's practical, we must become familiar with the interface. Let's return to the machine we deployed at the start of the task, pane on the right of the screen. You'll be presented with two main panes. On the left is the File Explorer, and on the right is your workspace. This pane is where the notebooks will open. Initially, we are presented with a launch screen. You can see the types of notebooks that the machine supports. For now, left click on the Python 3 IPy kernel, so that is this one right here. So I've clicked on that and it's opened up the notebook. So you can double click the folder icon in the File Explorer to open and close the File Explorer. So that looks like this one. Yep, so that opens and closes it. This may be helpful on smaller resolutions, which we are, so we'll keep it closed for now. So the different parts of the notebook. We have the cell, which is right here, where you can type code in. You have the run button here to execute the code. We have a format selector, so assume that is whether writing code, markdown, and then just regular text. So if we do markdown test, assume that's how that works. Yep, so that does that. I'll just delete that cell. So back to code, and on the top right, we don't see it because the split screen is very small, but there's apparently duplicate cell, move cell up down, add cell above below, and then delete cell. Okay, so the notable actions for today's task include save, which is the floppy disk icon right here, which can be used with Control S, run cell, which is the play button, Shift Enter, run all cells, two play buttons alongside each other, which is this one I'm assuming, which is, well, there's no shortcut for that, insert cell below, which is B, and delete cell, which is D. For now, don't worry about the toolbar at the very top of the screen. For brevity, everything has already been configured for you. Finally, note that you can move cells by clicking and dragging the area to the left. So I assume this is new cell below, and then we can click and drag like that. So for the best learning experience, it is strongly recommended that you follow along using the Jupyter Notebook stored on the VM. I will recommend what Jupyter Notebook to use in each section below. The notebooks break down each step of the content below in much more detail. So Python 3 crash course, we need to open this notebook, so I assume we go to the File Explorer. Okay, so you need to go back. Mine was on the fourth one for some reason. So go back, go to number 1, then Python 3 crash course. So Python is an extremely versatile, high-level programming language. It is often highly regarded as easy to learn. Here are some examples of how it can be used. So Python is used in web development, game development, exploit development and cybersecurity, desktop application development, artificial intelligence, and data science. One of the first things you'll learn when learning a programming language is how to print text. In Python, it's extremely simple, as you just use print, open parentheses, then you enter your text within with quotes, then closing bracket like that. So they've given us a terminal sample below. So with this code here, Python code here, it outputs hello world like that. Okay, so variables. A good way of describing variables is to think of them as a storage box with a label on it. If you are moving house, you would put items into a box and label them. You'd probably put all the items from your kitchen into the same box. It's very similar in programming. Variables are used to store data, given a name and access later. The structure of variables looks like this. So you have the name of your variable, the name of the variable equals the data you want to assign to it. So with this example, age equals 23, or in other words, the variable age has the value of 23 inside of it. And name equals Ben, and double quotes are used for this. This lets Python know that, okay, this text is a string, so name now contains the value of Ben inside of it. The thing to note with variables is that we can change what is stored within them at a later date. For example, the name Ben can be changed to Adam. The contents of a variable can be used by referring to the name of the variable. For example, to print a variable, we can just pass it into our print statement. So if we do name equals Ben, we can do print and put the variable name inside the parentheses, and then this print will then access the value that has for it Ben and print it out. Lists. Lists are an example of a data structure in Python. Lists are used to store a collection of values as a variable. For example, transport is a list containing the values car, plane, and train, and you know it's a list because these square brackets are used, and then each value is then separated with a comma. So opening bracket, okay, this is a list, we're going to put a car in there, comma, plane, comma, train, and close it. So this transport list has 3 values in it, car, plane, train. And then the same thing here, age has 22, 19, 35. Although we should note in this one, because the double quotes are used around the number is considered as a string or just normal text instead of an actual numeric number. So we've got the transport list here, and if we were to just print out the list, it prints it out in this format where square brackets are there, single quotes are used around the strings, and then comma to separate them. So Python pandas, we will now switch to the second notebook. So go back to number 2, intro to pandas, and then intro to pandas there. So while we're going through this notebook, we'll need to run it for each cell. So pandas is a Python library that allows you to manipulate, process, and structure data. It can be imported using import pandas. In today's task, we're going to import pandas as the alias PD, which makes it easier to refer to within our program. This can be done with import as PD. So let's see if that's in here at all. So we've got this code, so import pandas as PD. So we should be able to run that. Okay, so there are a few fundamental data structures that we first need to understand. So the first is series. In pandas, a series is similar to a singular column in a table. It uses a key value pair. The key is the index number, and the value is the data we wish to store. To create a series, we can use pandas series function. First, let's create a list. So go to here, we've got transportation equals train, plane, car. We can run that, and we can see the second line here, which is the print statement, has printed it up. We're going to create a new variable called transportation series. So we've got the variable name here, and using pandas with the alias of PD, we're using pd.series, and we're passing the list into it, and in return, we're going to be getting a pandas series. So if we run this now we've got a pandas series. So we can see 0 is train, 1 is plane, 2 is car, and the data type is an object. So as it says, note here, the D type is the type of objects within the series. For now, here is a quick list of some examples of objects. So strings or words will come up as an object, while numeric numbers or integers will come up as int64. Series is the first type of data structure in pandas. Now, data frame. Data frames extend a series because they are a grouping of series. In this case, they can be compared to a spreadsheet or database because they can be thought of as a table with rows and columns. To illustrate this concept, we'll load the following data into a data frame. So we have name, age, country of residence. So we've got the name series, which has names, with the age series, which has numbers, and then country of residence series, which has strings of different countries. So if we go down into the notebook, we can see where the data is created. So first thing to note, this is just a Python variable, and we're creating a list which contains 3 other lists as the items in that list. So the first list has 3 values: Ben, 24, United Kingdom. Then the next one is Jacob, 33, United States of America. And the third is Alice, 19, Germany. So we scroll down. We're using the PD pandas data frame. We're giving it the data which we just created above, and now we're giving it names of the columns: name, age, and country of residence. So what pandas is going to do is it's going to go through the list here, and then in each of this list, the first item within it is going to be the name. So Ben in the first list, Jacob second list, Alice third list, then age, the numbers, and then country of residence, the third one. So if we run this cell, so it's created the data frame for us, and it's printing up the data frame there. And we can see it's created the data frame. So it's got the series here, name, age, country of residence, and all the values plotted out. So for this, we are creating a 2-dimensional list, which is the first one we created here, known as a 2-dimensional list, as is a list within a list. A data frame has rows and columns, so you need to provide each row with data in the respective column. Okay, so Python matplotlib. So we'll go to the third notebook, just in here. So matplotlib allows us to quickly create large variety of plots. For example, bar charts, histograms, pie charts, waterfalls, and all sorts. So creating our first plot, after importing the matplotlib library, we will use pyplot, PLT, to create our first line chart to show the number of orders fulfilled during the months of January, February, March, and April. So in the notebook, creating our first plot, so we're importing pandas as PD, then we're importing matplotlib.pyplot, and we're giving it the alias of PLT. So run that, and if we scroll down, we will run this one here as well, the matplotlib inline, and we'll go here. So we'll run plt.plot, though I don't think there's any data in it, so it shouldn't show anything, which is true. So first we're going to be creating the data to put into it. So the labels are January, February, March, April, and then those labels will have the data of 8, 14, 23, 24. So plt.plot data and values. So run that, and we can see here, we've now got a line graph, with x-axis being the different labels for the data, and then the y-axis being the data values. So January is, if we can see in the data we gave it, 8, 14, 23, 40. So January 8 is here, February is about 14, March, that's 24, April is 40. Okay, let's carry on. So great, we've learned how to process data using pandas and matplotlib. Continue on to workbook.ipynv, which is in the 4 capstone one. So we'll enter the workbook, and remember, everything you need to answer the questions below has been provided in the notebooks on the VM. You'll just need to account for the new dataset, network traffic CSV. Okay, so we'll go on with the questions now. So if you haven't already, click the File Explorer here, make sure you're in number 4, and you open the workbook file, and you should have that open there. So complete. We will scroll through this, and I've got some required code here, so importing the libraries, so import that. Now on this one, using pandas, we're going to be reading a CSV called networktraffic.csv, which we can see in the File Explorer is right here. So we'll run that, and I'm assuming the CSV is in the format of a data frame, so we're going to be able to read, what is that, the 5th one? See, I'm not sure what data.head.5 is, so you don't need to do this, but I'm just curious, what happens if you just print out df? Okay, we'll print out everything, and df head 5, this means in the data frame, we're going to start from the very top, and we're going to read 5 lines. As we can see here, 0 through 4 is 5 lines. So if we look at the question, how many packets were captured looking at the packet number? So maybe that's here. Okay, so we've got comments for what to do. So question 2, here we'll need to use the pandas count function on the data frame. So let's see df.count, what that does. Okay, so packet number, or everything is 100. As we saw when we just printed out df by itself, it had 100 rows in it. So each row is a single packet recorded, and so that means 100 rows means 100 packets was recorded. So we put 100 into here, and that's all good. So question 3. Here you can perform a group by with pandas size functions on the source and destination columns. Okay, what is the actual question? So what IP address sent the most traffic, or amount of traffic during the packet capture? So df.group by, then we put the column name in, which is sent the most traffic, so that would be source. So basically group by is each of the rows we have, we're going to be grouping them up based on the column we've given it, so source. So each IP address source is going to be now a group. So got the groups for that, and then we'll go dot size. See what that does. So basically a count of how many rows have each of the IP addresses. And we can see here this one has 15, which is the greatest number there. So we'll put 10.10.1.4, that submit, that's all good. And what is the most frequent protocol? So this is going to be a similar thing again. So protocol like that. Assume it will be df.group by protocol, and we can do size. And the one used the most was ICMP, which is used for pinging, and that was correct. So that was the second day of Advent of Cyber 2023, called O Data, All Ye Faithful. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, so you don't miss out on watching me complete the rest of the Advent of Cyber 2023 challenges.